today, also on top of everything else, was also the day that President Biden announced that we'll be getting another 100 million doses of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. And remember, the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is one shot and you're done. So the new 100 million doses means enough vaccine for another 100 million people. We're going to be getting that vaccine from Johnson & Johnson this year. That's over and above what we were otherwise planning on buying as a country. And for the first time, if you do that math, this raises the prospect that the United States of America may have a surplus, maybe a considerable surplus of COVID vaccines by this summer. President Biden said today that once Americans are vaccinated first with our supply, if we do then have a surplus, we will share it with the rest of the world, because he says we're not ultimately safe from the virus until the world is safe from the virus. And that is not just hippy-dippy happy talk. That is true. That is math. That is virology. If this thing does run wild in big parts of the world that aren't vaccinated, new variants will develop in those parts of the world that ultimately may defeat our vaccines and our vaccine immunity and will mean that we never get out from under this thing. It really is, just mathematically speaking, in every country's interest that every country around the world gets vaccinated. With a vaccine like this, you cannot have unvaccinated large population pockets around the world. No matter whether we like those countries or don't like those countries or have good relations with them or bad relations with them, for everybody in the world, including us, everybody in the world needs to get vaccinated. And now, for the first time today, it looks like we are going to be in a position to help with that, finally. Here's what President Biden said about it today. He was wrapping up his comments to reporters about this new 100 million doses, about his primetime address to the country tomorrow, and then he took a question about this new idea that we never had before today, the idea of us having a vaccine surplus. Just watch this. And while you watch this, keep in the back of your mind that only 50 days ago, the president was Donald Trump. But boy, what a difference a president makes. Just watch.
Tomorrow night, I'm going in prime time address the American people and talk about what we've been through as a nation this past year. But more importantly, I'm going to talk about what comes next. I'm going to launch the next phase of the COVID response and explain what we will do as a government and what we will ask of the American people. There is light at the end of this dark tunnel of the past year, but we cannot let our guard down now or assume that victory is inevitable. Together, we're going to get through this pandemic and usher in a healthier and more hopeful future. So there is real reason for hope, folks. There's real reason for hope, I promise you. May God bless you all. May God protect our troops. And may God ease the pain in the heart of so many who've lost so many people in this pandemic. Thank you. And we're going to do this. We're going to get it done. Thank you.
Mr. President, what do you plan to do with the surplus? What will you do with the surplus?
Mr. President, when will you do a press conference?
The surplus will, if we have a surplus, we're going to share it with the rest of the world. This is not something that can be stopped by a fence, no matter how high you build a fence or a wall. So we're not going to be ultimately safe until the world is safe. And so we're going to start off making sure Americans are taken care of first, but we're then going to try to help the rest of the world. Thank you.
But we're then going to try to help the rest of the world. Talk about a pivot. From the U.S. having the worst epidemic on Earth, the most deaths on Earth, the most poorly managed response to the crisis of any major nation on Earth, to 50 days later, we've now got a brand new national vaccination program that is vaccinating our people at a rate faster than any other major nation on Earth. We just passed legislation in 50 days from stem to stern that is expected to add 7 million jobs back to the economy, which COVID collapsed, and which is expected to cut poverty in our country by 1/3. On the strength of all that, soon we are going to be in a position to, within a few months, we're not only going to be in a position to be able to vaccinate all of our own people, we will then be able to help other countries get to that point too, to help ourselves and the whole world beat it once and for all. From last in the world to world leader. Once again. That would be nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank all of you out there.
Thank you as always.
Thanks to at home.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you so much for letting us into your homes during these extraordinary times.